Hey guys, Joe Games here again. This me what if Takemichi became Ippo Makunouchi or Makunouchi. I don't care how it's pronounced. But you guys don't know who Ippo is. He's from the anime Hajime no Ippo. And it's a really good anime. I do recommend watching it. I'm pretty sure it's also longer than One Piece in the manga, so there you go. But yeah. Now, in this one, Takemichi would be like Ippo. And I believe Ippo is like, how old is he when we first meet him? I have to think about this real quick. I have my computer, but I'm not Googling it. I want to do this myself. 1973. Shit. So, if he were born the same time that Takamichi was, or if he was in the same universe as Takamichi, and he was in 2018 with Takamichi, he's like 20 years older than Takamichi. So yeah. So if you hear any background noise, that's thin walls. But yeah. Now, what else? But yeah. Takamichi would be probably about, let's say, the same age as Ippo when he started boxing. So probably maybe 15, 16. Which is, I would say, I would make Takamichi a bit older, probably say same age as Mikey and Draken. So that's like when he starts boxing. And he's basically number one at his school, or self-titled number one at his school. Even though he actually is, he has not met Mitsuya. So yeah, but the thing is, he's not as strong as Mikey and Draken. He's like decently powerful, but not as strong as either of them because he's a rookie boxer. He just has a lot of physical power. So yeah. So eventually it goes on to just like probably just when it came to Takemichi meeting up with like Kitsumaya. What's it? Is it Kitsumaya? Kiyomasa. That's it. I haven't read Tokyo Rangers in a while. I haven't watched it in a while, and I haven't done this in a while. But yeah. Now, when it came to Kiyomasa and Takemichi having to fight him, Takemichi pretty easily knocked out Kiyomasa. Because Takemichi was self-titled. Yeah, my own big brother just learned how to open doors, so he's trying to do that to my room now. But yeah, Takemichi would arrive and pretty easily beat Kiyomasa. But when he beat Kiyomasa brought in a large troop, probably same number of men that he had in like that Coliseum like thing he had going on. So that they all jumped Takemichi and basically make him their fighting pony for a few years. But by the time, not a few years, probably until he graduates, but yeah. But he got until used to being under control, he never thought of revolting. So Takemichi got older and he didn't really keep fighting after he graduated, he kind of just gave up. He realized that, but after like a week, he probably could have beaten them, but also his gym would have kicked him out. His gym kicked him out because he was just doing so much fighting outside of their gym, and it was to harm people. They didn't know the situation. They didn't hear Takemichi out because he doesn't have the good friends such as like oh my god, I need more Touchman. Again. What is it? Takamura and all that. So, yeah. Sadly for Takemichi. But, yeah. Now, present day, Takemichi's like 29. And he still lives how he usually does, but he has an unnaturally good physique. His body kind of just stayed in the same shape it always was. He doesn't have the skill anymore. He's a bit rusty. But he's not as fast as he used to be. Takemichi kind of goes the exact same, but when he's hit over the head with a bat, well, he doesn't get knocked out immediately. He just turns and swings. And basically just one-taps his assaulter. But suddenly, he's tackled by someone, and they both land on the tracks. The person just says, if I'm dying, you're going to have to die with me. And the person sounded sad, which confused Takemichi. And suddenly, they're both hit by the train. But this person wouldn't timely let Takemichi. Takemichi would wake up on the train, and yeah. His hair isn't really blonde. It's black because his gym outlawed Takemichi's hair dye for the reason that he gave when he first told them. It's because I look badass. Immediately the coach stopped him, told him, well, don't come back till your hair dye is out. Or don't come back till your hair is black again. And Takemichi would listen. So, yeah. And Takemichi would, today he should have gone to his boxing gym, but he didn't. So with this, Takemichi would actually tell them, hey, let's check out the school. There's not enough of them. Let's leave. And like, okay, yeah, sure, you're pretty strong. So if there's not enough, it would be too boring for you. And we need our rep, not to just ride on your own. And they kind of do that. So it goes the same. They go out to see the school, only to see Kiyomasa and all of the giant army. Takemichi just says, all right, let's go. And they all agree. Just head to the gym. And normally it's Takemichi just boxing. They just know he's a really good fighter. So at the gym, Takemichi would be in just boxing. And he does off some skills he had learned from street fighting all those years ago. But because his body is in its prime shape, well, he's not rusty. Or, well, his memory is on what the skills were, but he can perform them nearly flawlessly when he came to boxing. He even knows a few kicks, including Mikey's signature kick. There's just less accuracy. There's a lot more power, though. So yeah. How do I phrase this? Combine Taiju's strength with Mikey's agility, and that's what you get. You guys wondering why I'm saying South? I honestly have Taiju over South. I am taking him over South when it comes to post time skip, because there is a small time skip, or there's multiple time skips, but the main one that matters the most, or the one that matters, the second most important time skip. Yeah, that. Or, well, not the first one, it's the third most important time skip. But yeah. Now, Takemichi would be at the gym, and his friends kind of enrolled there because they realize how fun it is to just box. And even Takemichi's friend, pretty sure it's Yamamoto. He would, yeah. No, it's Makoto. Yeah, Makoto. Or, hold up, I think that's really hard. Makoto or Taki? It's one of those two, I think. No, his name is Takuya Yamamoto. That's it. Yeah. Because I saw Takuya on my sheet. I'm like, oh, it's Takuya Yamamoto. Yeah, I wasn't reading off the script properly. That's my bad. I'm sorry. Yeah. At the gym, Takemichi would see Hina, and they end up still getting along. Takemichi would talk to Naoto, and Takemichi would meet adult Naoto. This one, Naoto mentions that the other person who was hit by the train didn't survive. They basically turned to mush. But Naoto was able to save Takemichi. The person who did die, though, is having their DNA ran. So, yeah. Now, eventually, Takemichi would wake up again after him and Naoto have their usual time skip. Because it's Takemichi, by the way, our Takemichi is originally an undisciplined wimp. Our Takemichi is not a wimp. He just gave up. He lost all hope because there was an army against an averagely skilled person. Or averagely skilled boxer. So, yeah. A boxer would do good against a decent amount of people, but over 45 high school people who want the hands and are somewhat experienced because they're in a gang, I don't think someone like Takemichi was gonna do that well. Plus, they're anime kids, so no. But yeah. Now, it looks like Takemichi having a bit more determination and knowing that he can likely change the course of history, of his own history, I guess. Decides that he doesn't go over all the information that he can in 2 days, even speedrunning some of it and taking notes. With his notes, he's able to memorize everything he wants to, and memorize the key points that Naoto can even agree that this would be best for you and more likely to do it this way, because you're doing it the Takemichi way, not my way. So, yeah. With this, everything's a bit more precise and accurate for the way that Takemichi would want to do it. Then Takemichi would go back. He wakes up in the Coliseum area, but he has 3 people in front of him. These people are just random nobodies, with Kiyomasa's lackeys. And Kiyomasa would tell Takemichi, Alright, well, you agreed to meet here, let's fight. Takemichi was stunned as one guy went at him from the front, but Takemichi's basically better honed body would feel something from behind. He just swings his elbow back and twists, and immediately elbows someone right in their jaw, knocking them out completely. The guy who's running at him was already at Takemichi, so using momentum, he twists back and just does a right hook right to the guy's jaw, and everyone would just see this guy's jaw nearly basically just turn to a blur. Takemichi just smirked and just says, 2 left. As those 2 hits, probably the most satisfying thing he's done in decades. Or in a decade, I guess. No, almost a decade, but like 14 years, so yeah. Or, 12, I'm dumb. But yeah. Takemichi would just jump right at the next guy, and immediately just mounts him, just being pummeling him as fast as he can, but not causing serious injury. Just a very, very messed up teeth. The last guy Takemichi just stared at, even though Takemichi smaller than him, that guy felt like Takemichi was towering over him. And immediately the guy just pissed himself, backed away, and ran. Everyone hearing the sloshing of his fluids as he ran. Kiyomasa was surprised, but Takemichi says, "Alright, I'm fed up." And basically decked Kiyomasa so hard that everyone had hurt his jaw, nearly turned to dust. As soon as the guy hit the ground, Takemichi looked at everyone and called out every leader of every school that he could recognize from what he knew. Not all of them would, but he says, "If there's any more of you, this means you're too weak to be recognized." But Takemichi showing off that he's just not playing around. They don't really get in the mood to fight. They just kind of just put their heads down in shame. The heads do get beaten down, but Takemichi would just sigh and say, "Alright," and thinks. And then mumbles, "Alright, I can try again." And yells, "All of you come at me." He would do so with the Takemichi with more determination, better skill, but also full use of his full power because he knows how to use it, would take down this entire group. Cops arrive, and Takemichi would just be waiting there with his hands, with his legs crossed and his arms out. Now with this, Takemichi, due to him basically just telling them what happened to the truth, people not wanting to be the reason, like, people already know that if Takemichi is arrested and he says it's his fault, everyone's going to think that everyone who got knocked out by Takemichi, everyone's going to know that, or everyone's going to think that they snitched. So, to save their own rep, they all just admit, like, the actual truth. Not the actual truth, but kind of just an abridged version. They called Takemichi here for a fake meeting, and they jumped him, and this is what happened. The police were very surprised to say, "Alright, we're just going to need to make a statement." Takemichi was actually ready to go to jail, but when he made the statement, his coach picked him up, and his coach, Takemichi was kind of just a bit more. The only reason Takemichi had a good coach in the original is because he was very recent and barely attended boxing. He only paid the bill, so they let him stay. But now he shows determination, and when he tells the coach what happened, the abridged version, the coach buys it and tells Takemichi, "Alright, well, at least you can fight of your own accord, and running away from that many people is going to be hard." So, yeah. For Takemichi to lift the precinct, he will talk to Hina, and then he goes back the next day, and he meets up with, his friends at the boxing gym. At the gym, he is basically just going hard on boxing training and goes as hard as he can. Even using a bit more modern techniques incorporated, I think Takemichi invents a few new techniques, which is shocking to them, but still, new techniques. While Takemichi's at the gym, Takemichi would end up leaving just to go get food, and he meets Mikey and Draken, as they're at the same shop. Draken would look at Takemichi's features and say, "That reminds me, Kiyomasa said some guy who beat him up and behind a gaki looked just like that." Mikey says, "Give me a second." He ran right out of the building and came back like 20 minutes later with a picture and says, "I had a picture." And Draken's like, "Where'd you get that?" Mikey says, Mitsu's yearbook. And immediately, Draken's like, "Oh yeah, Mitsu says he went to the same school." Immediately, they look through the yearbook, find Takamichi from last year. A bit less muscle, but kind of like how he does in canon, just black hair, a bit more muscle. Maki walked over to Takemichi, and Takemichi would hear everything as canon. Not as canon, but just tells Mikey asks him, "Do you want to join my gang?" And Takemichi would think of this carefully, then say yes. So, yeah. Alright. Now with this, Akun is happy that Takemichi was able to join the gang when he simply told them, "Don't tell the coach, he's joining this so that guys like Kiyomasa will leave him alone forever." They also said that even if they were to get the training he has, they'd still lose. He has some physical power, and they haven't earned that yet. So they were going to realize that Takemichi only did this for their sake, even though it could basically ruin the thing he seemingly loves the most besides Hina. So, yeah. So with this, Akun and Takemichi's group on his back say, "We need to train harder, not just boxing. We need to be able to defend Takemichi with every ability, not just the basic ones he knows." With this, they sign up for a boxing gym, but also MMA. No, well, I think MMA, but hold up, no. So MMA's been a sport, I think, just in the US since like 1993. I think at this point Japan might have probably picked it up earlier or a bit or closer, similar in time to US. So this early 2000s, there might be a few small gyms. So yeah, his friends would join those gyms, picking up MMA as well. So they'd have more skill. Takemichi would just have more raw power. So yeah. But not yet. As at school, Takemichi would be talking to actually Mitsuya. As Takemichi used to be in class, Mitsuya actually gave Takemichi a jacket saying, "Oh yeah, I started making this a while ago because Mikey wanted to already meet you because you were supposed to head out my school. So give me make this just in case. I finish it off for you, just to adjust to your size." And he put on Takemichi a very similar jacket to Mikey, saying that fabric I usually use for other ones aren't durable enough to take your stature, so very similar to one to Mikey. So yeah. The jacket basically just says Hanagaki on it, because everyone knows Takemichi Hanagaki. He's kind of just well known if you're in a high school, because he's a powerhouse. So, yeah. Hina never stops Mikey, but when she looks angry at him and starts talking disrespectful, Draken goes to walk towards her, but Takemichi grabs Draken's shoulder and squeeze. Draken immediately just doesn't freak out, but tries to pull Takemichi's hand off of him. Takemichi then says, "Hey, you're disrespectful to my girlfriend," and pushing on his knees immediately. Immediately, Mikey was shocked, but Takemichi told Draken, "And you're meeting someone for the first time, be respectful." And Takemichi looked at Hina and said it a bit more politely, saying, "Hey Hina, he's kind of my friend. Can you be nicer?" He's like, "Oh, he's your friend, okay." And then she's nice. Draken was kind of surprised, but yeah. Takemichi would do the thing where he still passes by Kisaki and all that, I guess, but it doesn't really matter too much. Takemichi would still accidentally shake Naoto's hand, and he's in the future. Then Takemichi when he meets Naoto, would say that, "Oh yeah, the guy who tackled you under the tracks, that was, Mitsuya." And I think it could work because Mitsuya and Takemichi, they're they're not friends, but acquaintances. They're enough to walk in the hall and just high five or whatever. And I think Mitsuya killing someone innocent would be sad. I mean, at this point, in almost every timeline, Kisaki is mainly the one running Toman. So I can see Mitsuya being the one to probably do this, not Akun. Or them kind of having a duo job, because Takemichi's still a powerhouse, just a bit more so in this timeline now, because he's obviously used a bit more muscle, and he's oh yeah, I guess I still quit boxing at some point, but my body is a bit more in tone, so maybe I quit it later in life. So, yeah. But not to just mention, according to records, Takemichi was never arrested, but he was on many trials. He always beat the case, and they're mainly for trials when he was 15 to 20 of him just giving people serious brain injuries from his punches. And we see that able to pull Takemichi quit boxing when he was 19. So, yeah. From anything after 19, so it was another year before she kind of had no more records of crimes, he was basically just a powerhouse with just anything goes. So, yeah. But Takemichi still makes Akun, this is basically the exact same. When Takemichi would try to pull Akun up, though, Akun just showed off his MMA skill as he would deck Takemichi in the face full force, knocking him out for a split second, and immediately Akun just falls to his death. Because he does say that, yes, he can probably crush most members of Toman right now, but there's so many of them that it was going to be the hardest thing in the world, and he died doing it. And he's not willing to die over something that won't succeed. So, yeah. But Takemichi was finding out about Draken's death and all that, and that goes the same, I guess. But, yeah. When Takemichi wakes up, he still has to wake up with Emma on top of him, because Takemichi is still a delinquent. He does a bit more boxing, and he's just a lot more determined. He's still similar to Hanagaki, where he wants to be a delinquent and a notorious one. So, yeah. Our Takemichi, the one that's, going back and forth, he is one who focuses more on boxing and life. The Takemichi who's not going back and forth, who's 15, is more focused on things such as, boxing's a bit more fun, I guess, but delinquent, notoriety, growing up fast. That's his thing. So, Emma's kind of the thing. Maybe Takemichi would just jump back, telling his girlfriend is running away. Our Takemichi being a bit more determined and honest, and determined to save Hina, would immediately tell her what happened, with shame as he bangs his head into the concrete as he bows. Kind of doing something similar to, Inasa from, My Hero Academia. Hina would slap him, and she tells Takemichi she's glad that he came to her. She's glad that he came to her immediately after it happened. As his shirt was obviously a bit unbuttoned, and he would have fixed it if he had time. So yeah. But Takemichi would go to Musashi Shrine, yank his jacket on, and when he arrived, everyone's like, who are you?" And that's mainly Pa and Pei. But as soon as Pa went to Pei went to just press Takemichi just slaps him across the face, and everyone thought that you just heard just a whip. Pei would be on the ground, still like hunched over. He was already just hunched over looking at Takamichi, looking down at him because he's 5'5". And immediately, Pei kind of just slumped over, still looking like he's just looking down at Takamichi. But now he's kind of looking up at him because his head's on the floor. Pa would just go to punch Takamichi. Takamichi would grab his arm and flip him over, kind of just using kind of just dirty Aikido. And as soon as Pa hit the ground, Takamichi walked by him. And he says, sorry for the chaos. He's a new member, so he doesn't know their traditions. And me and Mikey says, oh yeah, perfect. Pa, he's in your division now because he's taking Kiyomasa's spot. Me and Pachin's like, wait, what? Why? And he says, well, Kiyomasa broke our rules to fight him, and he lost and even got arrested. So Pa is kind of just, or not Pa, Kiyomasa's kind of just a complete utter piece of trash right now. Takamichi's not, I don't know if he's trash or not, but he's better, so he's taking your spot. And, yeah. So, yeah. Now, Takamichi was still Shadow, Draken, and Mikey, and all that. It's not really any different, to be completely honest. But I will say that Takamichi did make a few minor changes that were very influential on his appearance, but also just a bit of, like, his own reputation. So, yeah. And Takamichi went back to the future, talking to Osanai, and Osanai, well, he's in a wheelchair. Now, as Osanai is in a wheelchair, he actually asks Takamichi, why is he here? Takamichi actually asks him what happened, and immediately, well, Osanai's like, oh, it's not hard to believe that you forgot. And actually how Takamichi was basically a wild savage when they first fought. And he tells Takamichi that Takamichi almost beat a guy to death, and, well, someone died stopping him. Takamichi immediately realizes that he's kind of the fault of Draken's death this time around. Kiyomasa's in jail. There's no one to kill him. Gotta kind of get where this is going right now. But yeah. And Dr. Takamichi's like, oh, who did I almost beat to death? And Osanai says, me. And Osanai mentions that a lot of his teeth are fake because Takamichi basically rearranged him. He even shows a few marks of surgery on his face and says the only thing he couldn't remember how to do is walk. And Takamichi immediately just slams his head into the ground apologizing. And Naoto and Osanai both say, that might be a reason you don't remember a thing. And Takamichi just tells Osanai, he's grown up a lot, and from back in those days, he's so sorry. But actually, I would ask how Draken died. And he says, well, because you were just pummeling me, my gang came to save me. Draken came to stop you, but they assumed he was rushing me as well. They jumped him and beat him to death. Takamichi felt bad about that. So, yeah. Takamichi would immediately just tell Osanai, give him a few minutes. He came back with a giant duffel bag and just threw it on the table, telling Osanai, this is about half of the savings right now, take it. Because when he went Takamichi doesn't have so much money, he wasn't Toman since he was 20. He gained some money. So, yeah. He's probably not rich, but he's not rich, but he's somewhat affluent, I guess. He's wealthy. So he has a decent amount of money. He knows Osanai, he doesn't know if that's enough to pay for better care, but that should be enough for a better wheelchair. And Osanai thinks so. And Osanai does say that you definitely have grown up, because younger you, when you fought me, you called me basically every name or slur in the book, and then proceeded to just grab and beat me. Even when we went to the same gym, and I was your senpai. This shocks Takamichi. But before you can ponder it, Osanai's caretaker walked over and wheeled him away. Because I'm wondering why, so I'm making Osanai go to the same gym as Takamichi, because he does boxing canonically. When we first met Takamichi, he took a boxing stance. Now I understood did a few basic punches, all that. So yeah. Now when Takamichi would wake up, he's doing the same usual things. He talks to Akun. Pause. And then after talking to Akun, he basically just runs off, heading to his gym, where he sees Kiyomasa getting ready to leave. And Kiyomasa would see, not Kiyomasa, Osanai. Osanai sees Takamichi, and she says, you really joined Toman, huh, Hangaki? Well, your senpai's gonna pummel some sense into you, and he tries to beat down Takamichi in the middle of the street. He shoved his fist, pinned him against the wall, and told him if he goes through with this war, he'll beat him to death. Osanai was surprised, and actually Takamichi's again crushing his hand with his raw strength. Takamichi's a complete monster. Really, Osanai just reeled back and walked away, just speed walking, and was like, what the hell just happened? Did I get pressed by someone who's 5'5"? I'm 6 foot something. What? And was just so confused. And then when Takamichi would go to meet Mikey, Dragon, Pacha, and all that, Osanai would arrive, but he's actually hoping Takemichi isn't there. He's like looking around rapidly, but then Takemichi just says, "Over here." And Osanai kind of looks like in the corner, seeing Takemichi. And Mikey and Jack didn't even know he was there. Same with Pachin. Again, they just heard something. They heard something, and they assumed it was just something falling over in this decrepit building. But yeah. As soon as Osanai saw Takemichi, immediately the fight begins. So yeah. Now as the fight begins, well, mainly because Pachin started it, Pachin is pieced up by Osanai, but before Pachin is knocked out, Takemichi basically just jumps and just does a one good Superman punch right to Osanai's face, knocking him out on impact. Osanai on the ground, Pachin was surprised that Takemichi took down Osanai in one shot. Even Mikey and Draken were surprised. And so was all the Mobius, their leader, was taken down in that one strike. Takemichi's Superman punch is more lethal than Mikey's kick, because that is just a flying punch fueled by momentum and raw strength. So, yeah. The Mobius telling them all just to go home, and if they still want to fight, those brave ones can charge him, leave everyone else out of it. Pachin refused as he picked up a pipe and said, "Come at me instead." And they do so, Pachin being hit a lot, but he beats them all down successfully. And he's just sent to the hospital right after, but still, those who were brave enough, those who weren't brave enough to leave. So yeah. Which is just, let's say the 20 guys stayed to beat on Pachin, and he's very badly beaten. But he still beat them all, because he's freakishly strong. So, yeah. So, yeah. There's really no Mikey Draken feud. It's just a feud of, should we crush versus Mobius? Mikey is, he's somewhat noble, but he also just wanted to get back for Pachin. But, well, not for Pachin. Pachin got his own get back. He wants to just make sure Mobius doesn't come back. But Draken says, they won't come back. An injured guy beat down 20 of their bravest, obviously. They're not coming back. We're kind of just, are you sure? Versus, yes, I'm sure. And it ends in like 3 hours. So that was kind of the feud. There's really no serious Mikey and Draken feud. So, yeah. But, yeah. Takemichi just does his usual stuff. And, yeah. Pause. So yeah, now when it comes to the festival, Takemichi and Hina are about to kiss, but this time they actually, they don't at first. But then Takemichi would actually tell Mitsuya that, oh yeah, he'll go help. He hangs up after that, grabs Hina, and kisses her faster than she can react. She accepts, and during the time that Takemichi would be fighting Kiyomasa or being beaten up by them canonically, when Hina are getting down to some other things. Before they can go all the way, though, Takemichi says he does have to go, and Hina says, okay, she can go find Emma. Because Takemichi has to go find Draken. Takemichi just runs off as fast as he can, being insanely quick. So he arrives a bit earlier than canon, and he arrives right as Draken's about to be hit in the head with a pipe. Takemichi would take the hit for Draken, being a bit more durable. But he doesn't bleed as much, and he basically just elbows the guy in the face. He even tried to use the pipe to block, but the pipe was just dented, and his face was destroyed. So right as that guy hit the ground, Osanai walks up to Takemichi with a bandage on his nose, but also Hanma by his side. So, yeah. So Hanma, Osanai, and the remaining members of Mobius. They thought Osanai was going to be in a coma because of how hard Takemichi hit him. They all assumed he'd die. But yeah. But Takemichi basically just beat down all the Mobius by himself until someone else arrived. By the time Mikey and everyone else arrived, Draken was just laying back as Hina and Emma bandaged his head. Takemichi was already covered in blood, his own and others, but he already beat down half of Mobius on his own, including Osanai, and Hanma had obviously very visibly bruised arms. Even Hanma was like, alright, I can block pretty good, but that guy's aiming for my arms, not me. He even aimed for my legs. So yeah. But when Mikey arrived, Takemichi says, you and Mobius can handle those guys, I want him. And he aims his finger at Hanma. Mikey isn't going to respect Takemichi's hard work by saying, no, I don't fight Hanma. So immediately, Mikey just rushes in as Takemichi's shield, Mitsuya and Payon doing the same thing, because Payon was like, alright, you make sure that Pachin didn't get knocked out. Oh, I kind of owe you something, because that should have been my job. So Payon, Mikey, and Mitsuya are Takemichi's shields until he gets to Hanma. Then it's Takemichi gets to Hanma, Hanma assumes that Takemichi is going to go for the usual, You're gonna go for my arms. So as soon as he went to like dodge, not dodge, but just he went to block, or he wanted something to think was a block. He went to grab Takamichi's hand as like a punt fake, basically, or a fake block. But yeah, but Takamichi would immediately just move his hand back, and then he just yells. He just yells, "Gotcha!" He pulls Hanma's arm, and immediately he just slam a liver shot right into Hanma, or liver blow right into Hanma. And Hanma just fell to his side and just crumpled on the ground, coughing up blood, or blood leaking from his mouth. Everyone realized how hard Takamichi hit Hanma. They're all kind of backing up, but in that fear, Toman just overwhelmed them and crushed them, and the cops arrived only to pick up a few injured teens and young adults. Everyone else had already left. Dragon did have a small head injury, but it was more or less just like him being punched in the face a dozen times. So yeah. But yeah, that kind of ended the Mobius arc. So yeah, and Takemichi does enjoy the fame as usual because so far all he's been is kind of just a loser that doesn't get recognition. Well, not a loser, but a has been. Is the best way to say it. Nearly the same thing, just a loser was never anything to begin with. So, yeah. So, yeah. Alright. When Takemichi returned to the future, he would more or less just kind of have the same things as canon. But I would say that the main difference might be that Takemichi has probably a larger criminal record because he pummeled dozens of teens in one night. And shortly after Takemichi left, I do think a younger, more hype and arrogant Takemichi would brag about it. And yeah, there's probably just a few supposed possible records Takemichi being like involved in a possible assault. But also, he was in Toman a lot longer, as you can realize that every time he goes back and forth, his time in Toman gets longer. And when he did strike on death row, Draken's like, oh yeah, you were kind of doing the killing with me, but you were more or less like, you weren't told to kill, but you did it. And that made you lose a lot of followers in Toman, including your old friends. And she's like, what do you mean? Draken's like, well, you did debt collection. And you kind of pummeled anyone who didn't seem scared enough to death. And she felt immediately just horrible. And Draken's like, what's going on with you? And she kind of just whispered into the phone everything that happened. And Draken was surprised, saying, oh, that's why Toman seemed better than before for a little while. Takemichi decides, saying he's fixing everything no matter how many times it takes. And Draken just said, make sure Mikey isn't how he is now. But before Takemichi could ask him more about Mikey, Draken is told to go back. So, yeah. And really, Takemichi would go back in time with Naoto, going back to the bathhouse where he meets Mikey and Draken, or sees them. Draken's arguing with Mikey. Takemichi asks Draken about how he's doing. Draken points out a black eye. He's like, other than that, I'm pretty fine. And Mikey just pokes like just a giant bruise on his back, and Draken just yelps, falling out of the bath. And Draken says, Jesus Christ, I felt like you stabbed me. And Takemichi says, oh, you're lucky you weren't. Which kind of made Draken just frown at Takemichi, saying, you arrived, you saved me. And they kind of just laugh about that a bit later. But, yeah. Then Mr. Takemichi would go back in time, and the 3rd Division captain is not selected because there's already a 3rd Division captain. But instead, Mikey and Toman will have a new not a division, but a new role. He says that role is advisor. And he brings out Kisaki. Takemichi would know Kisaki, knew Takemichi's more like, he's a bit more hard-headed, but also just determined. We're seeing someone he's not supposed to like, but also someone who's ruining everything that he's determined to do. Hits Kisaki so hard that Kisaki's glasses shatter, and Kisaki just fell to his knees unconscious. Immediately, Mikey already went to kick Takemichi, but Takemichi just shoots his fist back, like his knuckles right into Mikey's shin, and even Mikey had a hop back on one foot holding his shin. Takemichi just announced Kisaki, he hates him. And as long as Kisaki is in Toman, he's leaving. He threw Jack on the ground and just walked away. His friends following suit as they are in Toman. But Paon's like, Mikey, I owe Takemichi more than I can say, and Pachin would say the same. They basically say that their third division will be taking a temporary leave of absence until Mikey can decide what he should do, and they'll come back and determine what Mikey says about Kisaki. So the third division leaves as well. Bachi tried to ambush Takemichi, but Takemichi just immediately grabbed Bachi's fist, hit him down, and gave him a beating that Bachi will forever remember. Even Chifuyu wanted to step in, but Payon held his hand out, saying, "Bachi's too hot-headed, this will teach him something." Then Takemichi's done, he walks off, his fist dripping blood, and he's pissed. He goes to the boxing gym, and he tells his coach everything, but saying that he knows this gang will destroy their generation. So he plans on destroying it from the inside out. And his coach will see Takemichi still determined to box, and less determined on what he seemed like. He's like Takemichi, kind of hopping back and forth between like what's important to you. But I see that boxing is still very important to you every time. So, I'm gonna be honest, I'm probably going to increase how much you have to pay, and I'm going to increase how hard you train. Takemichi says, alright, kind of annoying, but I appreciate it. So, yeah. So, yeah. Then, what else? Probably just, I can see Takemichi, talking to Mikey as, an apartment, because there's really no that in canon when it came to Takemichi being injured after the Osanai thing. So I can see this being more probably just them visiting Takemichi, because Mikey's like, you can't kind of beat up my second best friend, and he left shortly after. I don't know if you have anything to do with that, but hear me out. Bring Baji back. Kisaki will leave, I promise. If you bring Baji back, because he is my friend, Kisaki's a rando. Bring Baji here, then I'll personally kick out Kisaki. So yeah. So with this, immediately, they have a new meeting, probably a week later, without Baji. And then secondly, she'll be taking over as first division captain until they can bring Baji back in some way. But you gotta say that, because Chifuyu felt a bit undermined right there. But immediately, Mikey says, but Chifuyu will be his equal in this group. There'll be two captains of the first division, and Chifuyu didn't feel undermined anymore. What else? I'll try something. There's a meeting there's Takemichi learning about Kazutora and all that, or not Kazutora. They need to meet Kazutora the next day. So there's everything in between about Kazutora and all that, and then after the Kazutora thing and Chifuyu being beaten, then there's the meeting. So, yeah. Alright, now, what else? I think hard about this, to be honest. There's a backstory somewhere in here, too. What happens next? I'm also forgetting a lot of this. But I Takemichi heading to the future and finding out that Mikey kills Kazutora. So, yeah. But he also does learn that, Baji and Kazutora did kill Mikey's brother Shinichiro. So, yeah. Eventually, Mikey... I say this arc's pretty much the same until it comes down to, probably just the war beginning. So, or the brawl beginning, I guess. But yeah. But there's a small difference in the beginning where when we have Kazutora going to just punch down the referee, so to say. That means he would punch Kazutora's fist, and Kazutora just yells. And it's Takemichi's fist connected to his. And I'm gonna be honest, Takemichi's position as the first division captain, everyone actually sees it fitting for him. So yeah, when Kazutora held his fist, as everyone could see that his fist was bleeding. And they saw it was pretty torn up, but then Takemichi has brass knuckles on. You can put him in the pocket in his jacket, and says, anytime he thinks someone's going to go too hard, he isn't ensure they don't go hard again. Sounds very weird, I know, but still. So, I also realized that Takemichi broke his hand, and it was his dominant hand. But suddenly, Draken punched Kazutora in the face, telling him he warned him to end it. Now he can't participate. And Kazutora is just knocked out. Kazutora's on the ground. Mikey says, "Alright, problem gone. Everyone get Hanma." Immediately, everyone just dared their daggers on Hanma and pushed every member of just Valhalla out of the way. And when it came to people important, they were bailed on by Takamichi's division, as he just knew who to aim for. So as soon as everyone's done, the war ended in like 5 minutes. It was a very short thing. So, yeah. So Kisaki actually realizes his plans fell apart, and Bachi's like, "Okay, I barely survived that, but good war. So, yeah. Now, Kazutora woke up in the hospital, but not in jail, like he had heard the rest of his gang, like Hanma had gotten put. So, yeah. Alright. So, yeah, so, only people who weren't, I guess, arrested were the main people, were Baji, Kazutora, and Hanma. Kazutora kind of just wakes up on like a mat in Mikey's house, and Mikey's wearing basically just a typical, like, pretty sure Mikey does mainly Taekwondo. Anyway, he kind of just wakes up seeing Mikey wear a gi, and Takamichi kind of just there supervising, with Baji, who's kind of just also there in the corner, wearing a gi, covered in bruises. Well, more bruises than he already had, but yeah. So with this, Mikey just stares down at Kazutora as Kazutora got up. It's like, "What's going on? It's my hand." Mikey tied one hand behind his back and just said, "Bring it." Kazutora immediately was like, "What do you mean, bring it?" Kazutora just uppercutted in the face and sent it flying across the room. He landed on the ground, got up wobbling, and Mikey says, "We're in a fight until I think I'm done." And with this, they began fighting, but Kazutora speaks, he's just being wailed on by Mikey, not even using his legs. Mikey just slamming him, throwing him around with one arm. Kazutora even tried using his broken hand, but he still failed. So, yeah. Pause. Alright, so after about 10 minutes of Kazutora being beaten half to death, Takemichi would have to stop Mikey, telling him, "Alright, fight's over. So with this, that happens, I guess. And we have Takemichi still hanging out with Draken for a bit and all that. Now, Takemichi would have told Draken everything. Draken probably opens up a little bit to Takemichi about Emma and all that. But Takemichi would kind of just, like, well, him being a bit more thorough in his investigations. He kind of like when he sees Emma kind of like supposedly on an assumed date with Mikey, he would tell halfway through, like, "Oh wait, that's I remember something. That's Mikey's sister." I was like, "How did I forget that? I was even at his house." He didn't even punch Takemichi in the face, and not even being phased, but he's like, "Huh, how did I forget that?" And so that's just kind of funny to him, but yeah. Now, when it came to the first division, and the third division came back for the war, by the way, but yeah. Came to that, Mikey actually asked Baji and Takemichi what should happen. But Chifuyu would step up, saying he has an opinion. And they ask what that is, and he says he would like to become a common member of Toman, Takemichi become the captain of the first division, and, well, actually says, well, how to phrase this. So, he says, basically, well, first, he says he would like to take Kisaki's position as advisor, because Kisaki was the advisor. As Takemichi's promise was done. So Kisaki stepped out, Chifuyu becomes advisor. But he does say that Takemichi should become the captain, first division, Baji should be his vice captain, because Takemichi's more level-headed, and obviously a bit more intelligent. The reason I changed to advisors because Chifuyu knows how to guide things pretty well. Yes, Kisaki is smarter, but Chifuyu knows Toman better, and he's more level-headed. I think he knows what's better for Toman. We are not including what happened to Chifuyu and Takemichi after someone's death. That has not been in the anime. So, yeah. In the future, when Takemichi has the upper echelon meeting, his new look is basically just... He kind of looks like how this does in canon, just his hair isn't slicked back, he's kind of just sharped out, or like just sharped up, just sharp and pointy. And when he tends to the upper echelon meeting, everyone is showing just actual proper allegiance, and it's honestly just probably the exact same arc as canon, so yeah. Well, short encounter as canon. And Takemichi would see like Kazutora and all that. Because Kazutora in this one isn't really like... Mike is letting him into the gang just yet. He kind of just has Kazutora at his house, training and healing his hand. So yeah. But yeah. And Takemichi will learn about the Black Dragons and all of that. But before we go on to the Black Dragons arc, I'm going to end this part here. Hope you guys enjoyed. Like and subscribe for more. Adios.